Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is Bacon Wrapped Scalloped Potatoes. Today we're gonna try and step up your side dish game with these bacon wrapped scalloped potatoes. Especially with the holidays upon us, just not too far away, you gotta have lots of great side dishes, and one of my favorites for the holidays is scalloped potatoes. Now this is a play on that recipe. It's not gonna be quite as creamy, but it's gonna have a lot of bacon in it, so I figure that's a good trade-off. I actually saw this on Instagram. I think it's the Josh Elkin, fantastic food account. If you guys haven't checked it out, go see that. He calls this a bacon wrapped potato tart. It's a really interesting concept, which is why I wanted to try and recreate it on our show today. Now the idea here is you're gonna lay out strips of bacon in a cast iron skillet, layer in your slices of potatoes, layered in with cheese and a little bit of seasoning, some onions, and then wrap it all up in that bacon so you've essentially got potatoes completely encased in bacon. Once it's cooked, you can let it cool a little bit, slice it into wedges to serve. Now the prep for this dish is pretty simple, so before we jump into that, I want to fire up the grill. And today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. We're going to be running it at 400 degrees with the wood-fired oven attachment. Now this is really going to expedite the cooking process on this, causing it to take probably more like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes rather than a couple of hours. So we'll get this started and crank it up to 400. Now for knife work, we've really just got to break down our potatoes and our onion. And we're using 2 pounds of red potatoes, though you could use any potato you like, and then about 12 ounces of yellow onion. All of this needs to be sliced, so we're going to get to work. We want to go pretty thin on these potato slices, about 1/8 of an inch. By slicing these nice and thin, it's going to decrease the amount of time it takes for them to cook. One hour later. Now we got our potatoes done, let's move on to the onions. We're just going to slice these also very thin. You could dice them if you like, but I kind of just want to do a long slice, a long thin slice that kind of will melt into the potatoes as it cooks. The last little bit prep here, we need some fresh thyme. We're just going to strip that off the stems, get rid of that stem, keep the leaves, and about a tablespoon and a half. Now we're ready to start assembling our bacon wrapped scalloped potatoes. So we're gonna start by layering this bacon all the way around the skillet. Remember, half of it has to be on the outside so that we can wrap it around the top once it's filled. You're gonna overlap some here. And it's not a bad idea even to pick up some of that lower sodium bacon if you want to. I found that if you don't over season this, it's gonna be fine. But if you end up a little heavy-handed on your seasoning, it could end up being too salty. Now luckily, potatoes just soak up the salt. If there's a food that needs a little extra salt, it's a potato for sure. There we go. So we've got our bacon laid out. Let's get our layers of potatoes going. Now typically with a scalloped potato dish, I like to make some sort of creamy sauce. We're gonna kind of simplify this, which, you know, it's good on a couple levels. First of all, this dish doesn't need any more fat. That bacon's got plenty of fat in it. So what we're gonna do instead is we're just gonna do a little bit of seasoning, our potatoes, our onions, our thyme, and some cheese. Gotta have some cheese for our scalloped potatoes. So once we've got one solid layer, add some onions. Add some thyme. And then our cheeses. I've got 2 cheeses today, a cup of each. This is a sharp cheddar, and then a Gruyere, which Gruyere and potatoes are a match made in heaven. Quick shake now of our Cattleman's Grill trail dust, not too heavy. Just want a little bit of that garlic, some of that herb, great all-purpose seasoning. And then we're on to the next layer. Layer 2 is done. One more to go. All right, this thing is fully loaded now. I'm gonna give this just a little press down Make sure it's compact. And then we'll start enclosing it in our bacon. We'll start right where we started with the bottom side. I'm just going to fold each one of these into the center, overlapping right there in the center. Until we're fully encased in the bacon. There we go. For the first part of this cook, we're going to cover this with foil. And the idea here is to trap in that heat so that the potatoes get cooked through in a timely fashion. Then we can uncover it, and the wood-fired oven will take care of crisping up the bacon on top. We'll set a timer for 30 minutes to come back and uncover it. Potatoes have been in for half an hour now. We're gonna uncover them, take the foil off, so we can start to brown this bacon on top. You can already see it simmering away. Some of that bacon grease is starting to render out, and our cheese is melting. Well, let's shove this back in here. We'll check on it in another half hour. Well, here it's been another 30 minutes, a full hour total. Obviously that bacon's looking fantastic on top. I'm just trying to get a feel for how cooked through our potatoes are. They've still got just a touch of bite to them. So we want to let those go a little bit longer. So instead of leaving that inside the oven, we're going to put that right up here on top. We'll let some of that residual heat kind of keep cooking those potatoes, but now we're not going to put too much browning on the top of here to where we overcook our bacon. So let's check on this in about 10 more minutes. Yeah, these are feeling really nice now. Another 10 minutes was all it took. We were close. I'll tell you what, we want to get some of that excess grease out of there before we let these rest. So here's what we're going to do. Let's pour a little bit of that off. Look at that, we don't need all that extra. We don't need it sitting in that either. Look, we just made it healthier. All right, so let's let this sit and settle for a little bit, because right now it's so hot it's all just gonna fall apart if we take it out of here. But this thing's cooled down quite a bit, kind of set up. We're gonna turn it out of the skillet, first onto a plate. Oh, we're sticking just a little. Then from the plate to a cutting board so it's right side up again. And we can slice. Just take a little look. Whoa, beautiful layers of potato, and melty cheese in there, bacon holding it all together. Let's cut a slice that's bigger than anyone has any business eating. That's a pretty cool presentation right there. How about we get a taste? All right, I'm gonna tear into this thing. That's way too big of a bite, right? Let's make it manageable. Potatoes and bacon. I mean, what could go wrong? It's super tasty. Not too salty, not at all. That bacon's just the right amount of salt on the outside. Carries a little bit of that through the potatoes, but we're picking up on the stuff from the seasoning from the trail dust. But absolutely the fresh thyme, it just permeates everything. Potatoes are just the right doneness. They got bite. They're not just mush. But definitely not too firm either. Those thin slices really help out with that. Cheesiness, onion, I mean, it's all good things together. All good things that belong together, especially for your holiday dinner. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, Let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All Things Barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.